Hello YouTubers, and nice to see you again. This video is about in comparison between two different recordings of the same musical piece made by the same composed by the same composer, of course, if it's the same musical piece, and played by the same artist. The difference is that the recordings are made 26 years apart, and it's about the beginning of a career compared to the end of a career. And I'm talking about the Canadian pianist Glenn Gould. And he had his big breakthrough in the 1950s as one of the best young virtuoso pianists, classical pianists of the time. And when he got his record deal with Columbia Records, one of the first things he did there, or perhaps even the very first recording he made, was the Goldberg Variations by Johann Sebastian Bach. And this is a reissue, a very luxurious reissue, I have to say, very good quality of these recordings made in 1955 on mono, in mono, sorry. He wasn't that incredibly happy with the recording though, at least many years later. So in 1981 he decided that he wanted to record them again. And the result was this sound. And this was recorded around a year before he passed away, very young. He was, I think he was 50. So he had been very active during the years, but as we said, he passed away much too early, we have to say. So I've got these two different reissues and listened to them very carefully, and thought about what I heard, and also thought about my own views both on Bach, on the Goldberg Variations, and Glenn Gould. Where do we start? Well, let's start with Glenn Gould. He is without a doubt one of the best classical pianists of all time, no doubt about that. Even though he's not my absolute favorite, there are others that I admire a bit more, but of course it would be futile to say anything else that he was a genius, and quite an eccentric too. I don't have to really go into all the eccentric bits of his personality. You can just check any website that you want about Glenn Gould. That doesn't the only thing where you can really find his eccentricity is the fact that he had a tendency to hum during the recordings, which was a bit of a problem for the sound engineers, and he wasn't really interested in concerts or concert recordings. He preferred the recording studio because, of course, he thought the sound was much better then, and that he could focus more on his music without any distracted audience member coughing or something like that. Yeah, so he was a genius, of course, and he passed away way too early. So that's my view, although my personal favorite when it comes to classical pianists is, and still is, and will probably always be, Emil Gilels, but never mind. Then let's talk about Johann Sebastian Bach and the Goldberg Variations. I'm sure most of you are familiar with, or those who are interested in classical music are familiar with the story on how the Goldberg Variations were written. And to put it short, they were more or less ordered. Can you write some nice music that my pianist can play for me, so it'll be easier for me to sleep? Yeah, I'll pay you. Yeah, I hope we got good payment, because it doesn't really feel like the most interesting reason to sit down and compose music. and sometimes when I listen to the Goldberg variations in in all sorts, all ways that it's been played on the harpsichord or piano or whatever, I always feel that sometimes Bach was probably not that incredible. He didn't really put his really deep soul in that piece of music. He had lots of skills. One of the greatest greatest composers of all time, without doubt. Without Bach, I wonder how music would be today. Well, can't be really more rubbish than it is today. Well, never mind. So the genius of Bach cannot be denied. He was so great, but making all these short pieces, different variations, the same theme now and then, more or less, so this pianist called Goldberg would be able to play to his master. I wouldn't think, if I were Bach, it would be the most inspiring task to do. So I get that feeling sometimes when I listen to Goldberg variations. I'm great fan of the music of Bach, but Goldberg variations isn't among my top favorites of him. I'd rather listen to something else. But still, even if I might think that it's a bit composed with the left hand while thinking about something else, it's still brilliant. It's still brilliant. And some might think, why did Glenn Gould choose the Goldberg variations to record as the first idea, the first recording? First of all, okay, with the exception probably of Claudia Arau and some other pianists, it had mainly been recorded on harpsichord before. And of course, back in the time of Bach, what we today call a piano, well, I guess it was invented, but it wasn't a music instrument that was really used. I think it was composed for the harpsichord, but never mind. So, first of all, Gould thought, okay, this is a music piece that probably people expect to hear on the harpsichord, and probably played by somebody a bit older, a bit more mature, like maybe Wanda Landowska or whatever. But he thought, well, this is a great opportunity to show how good I am. This is a perfect opportunity to show what a great pianist I am. And he did. He's a great virtuoso skills. He really showed that on this mono LP from 1955. The full recording time is about 39 minutes. He played most of the pieces quite fast. He skipped some of the repetitions or repeats that you can find in this music, in the Goldberg variations. Maybe because he thought, well, I don't really need to play that again. I already played it. So, the total time on this album is around 39 minutes. Well, the older he got, and the more mature he got, he felt that, okay, maybe I was a bit young and cocky when I made this record. Why did I have to play everything so fast just to show how brilliant pianist I am? Because it's more like a race than it is something else. Like who plays the fastest version of the minute waltz will win, or something like that. There's more to it in the music than that. And of course, by the time he decided to make this recording, which is of course also a digital recording, in 1981, the art of digital recordings was quite new. The CD hadn't really had its breakthrough yet, but the art of digital recording was very popular, especially in classical music, as early as 1981. So even the analog vinyl records those times had often digital recordings. So When he recorded this, he recorded it first of all much slower. He played more of the repeats and also a bit more thoughtful about, like a man at the autumn years of his career, using his experience and his musical wisdom. Why? Something like that. And also the recording technique had changed a bit from the mono 1955 recording. Here you can hear it, it sounds very good, but it sounds as if it's on a stage over there somewhere. Here it sounds more like he's sitting on a grand piano in your living room and playing, and it's also stereo, of course, so it gets a bit more relaxing to listen to this than it is to listen to this. Also it's a longer playing time. I think it's over 50 minutes, so it's over 10 minutes longer, maybe around 15 minutes longer playing time, even though it's exactly the same music he's playing. So that shows quite a lot, not just about the tempo, but also the thoughtfulness, and also playing the repeats that he thought, well, that's unnecessary in the earlier recording. So if I have to choose between these two, first I would say have them both. But if I really want to listen in a more relaxed manner after a long day at work, I would probably pick this one. But I have a feeling that if I were familiar with these recordings when I was in my 20s, I would probably think that this was much cooler, because it is. But today I'm middle-aged, a little bit slower, and also probably a bit more mature when it comes to my music taste. So I would pick this today. Yeah, I think that's my conclusion. Yeah. So, but if you have the opportunity, listen yourself to both these recordings. They are also available in other formats than on vinyl records, of course. We have them on CDs, we have them, I'm sure they are on iTunes or whatever. So have a listen by yourself and see what you think. It's great music nevertheless, whatever you think about this recording or this recording. I'm sure you would enjoy it. Thanks for watching.